So today we've got a swarm that's just swarmed from hives about 20 metres away and landed on this branch here. So what we're going to do is show you how to put that into your hive live on camera. So if you come and have a look at these bees, they're all clustered in a ball. So they go through this phase of basically when the hive is too busy and there's a lot of crowded bees in there, it triggers them to want to swarm, and also a lot of honey in the hive as well if there's no more work to do. So that's their natural way of dividing their hive. And then they temporarily land, usually close by like they have on this branch here. So it's an opportune moment now to give them a home. But what's happening right now is they're scouting around and looking for an appropriate home. Now, they're looking at wall cavities, mailboxes, tree hollows, anything at all, and they're taking accurate measurements and then bringing that back to the colony. And then they go through a voting process where they actually need about 15 votes to decide they're going to that new location. So what we're going to do today is just trim these branches a little bit here. Now Emily Grace is our research manager and also my sister-in-law. She's going to do the swarm catch. She's been beekeeping for about 5 or 6 years.
That's right.
And she hasn't had the pleasure of catching a swarm yet. So here we go. So the first thing we're going to do is trim around to make sure there is a nice clean pathway to shake the bees into your new box. There we go. So when we're doing this, we're trying not to shake the branch, because if you shake them, the bees will then fall off the branch, which is exactly what we're going to do when it's time to put them in the box, is simply shake their branch and the bees will then fall in. So what we need to do is get our equipment ready. Now that means getting your brood box full of brood frames. If you have a look here, we've got our 8 brood frames ready to go and our brood box. Now the next thing we're going to do is make sure we've got a level stand. Now I'm using the Hive 2, so it's got these built-in systems here so that you can level the base. Now it's currently the wrong way around and there's some bushes in the way, so I'm just going to take off the rear panel here, if I can get to it, and use the little built-in level to level up our hive. Now the reason why we're leveling it, and I'm just adjusting the feet down here, so by turning it around till we've got the level in the middle. And the reason why we're leveling it is because we're using these comb guides in our frames, so the bees will naturally hang their comb from this guide, and if it's not level in the sideways direction, then they'll hang it onto the next frame and it'll all turn into a big mess. So that's an important thing to do when you're catching a swarm using naturally drawn comb guides. Now I'm going to put this back on, and I'm going to put it back on in the vents closed position. Our Hive 2 has this position is vents closed and this is vents open. Reason being is they'll be trying to work out their new entrance and I want them to be able to find it easily. So I don't want the smell of the hive pouring out these vents at the back. So vents closed position, and that's going to go right back in to place here next the hive brood box goes on. We're trying to position that just underneath the swarm. Now, next thing to do is take out some of the frames. So considering the bees are in the way, we might just move it aside. Take out some of the middle frames so you've got somewhere to shake the bees into. And we'll be adding them back as soon as the bees are settling into their hive. Now, that's just about ready to go. We could probably trim a little bit more out of the way, but the next thing to do is basically shake the branch so the bees fall in. Now bees aren't usually aggressive in the swarming phase. They're too busy getting ready, doing their thing. They're not in a protecting their colony kind of mode. So as you can see, if you haven't done it before, wear a bee suit till you get used to it. However, they're not usually aggressive, but sometimes they can be, so do protect yourself. I'm just going to grab a bee veil, throw that over, just so I don't get any stings on the nose. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So I think we're ready to go. So this swarm's kind of split into two parts, as you can see there. So what we're going to attempt to do, and maybe if you could do it from this side so we can get a good view, is grab the branch that they're on. That's it. Okay. And simply just shaking them in. A good shake. So that's it. You can let the branch go. Now, the next thing to do is actually to snip off the branch that the bees are on. Reason being is a lot of them will fly back up to their position with the queen pheromone still on that branch. As you can see, there's bees still on there. So that one can be shaken in again. I'll take off this one as well. Okay. Another little shake on that one. And as long as we've got the queen in the box, the rest will follow. Okay, now we're going to move those aside. As you can see, they're pretty friendly even though they're buzzing around. Next thing to do is to gently put the frames in. So you can take a close look at the bees down inside the box there. They're all just all over the bottom board and up the walls. It's not a huge swarm. Sometimes you get bigger swarms than this, but it's a nice swarm nonetheless. There'll be a queen and a strong enough colony to start a new hive. So we're gently just nestling those frames in. Here's the next two frames. So hopefully now the scout bees will be outvoted and they go, this is a perfect home, the dimensions are perfect, there's things to hang honey off, and hopefully they'll stay. But they don't always. Sometimes they'll actually fly off and go a little bit further up the road, and you have to go through the same procedure, catching the swarm again. Sometimes if you get a colony like that, it can be worth using a queen excluder, either putting a little bit of queen excluder across the entrance. If you've got one, you can tape there, and that way the queen is actually then has to stay because you can't get out of the queen excluder. Only needs to be like that for a day till they get used to their new box. But typically you don't need to do that, and they're happy with their new home and the bees will stay. So what Emily's doing now is just pressing the frames together, because you don't want to leave big spaces in your hive or the bees won't hang their comb properly on the guide. So just moving the frames together, making sure any excess space is on the side walls. And the next thing to do is just brush the bees away and put on your inner cover. So if you've got any questions, put them in the comments below and we can answer them. Okay, so she's gently just trying to brush those bees away, putting on that cover, and hopefully they'll say, this is a great home, let's stay. So that's basically how you be a lot more difficult. Sometimes they're up trees and you need to climb up and cut down branches and lower them down with all the bees on it and things like that. Lots of things I've done over the years. There's the lid to go on. So try and get the bees out before we put that on. And yeah, it can be a lot more challenging than what you've seen today. But if they're nice and low on a branch, then that's perfect, and it's easy just to shake them into the box like that, and away they go. Now you have a brand new hive.
Nice easy catch for a first time.
Well done, Emily.